Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. We're starting off with this picture sent to me by somebody on Twitter named Lindsay, who was walking in the Lake District and saw this beautiful art in Keswick on the street. And so she stopped and took a picture. I love it. All right, we have a lot to cover. Let's get in there and get going, shall we? Let's go. Next up, I wanted to show you the coronation necklace and earrings because Queen Consort Camilla is more than likely going to be wearing them when she's crowned, and every queen since 1902 has worn these during their coronation. They look actually very heavy. All right, moving on. Still talking about the coronation, apparently the Empire State Building is going to be lit up from sunset on the night of the coronation until 2 a.m. the next day with the Union Jack. It'll be red, white, and blue in tribute to King Charles on the night of his coronation. How nice! Next up, this young gentleman you're looking at is the Duke of Westminster, who is godson to the king, godfather to Prince George, and he is now going to be in the procession that will lead the king and queen into the Abbey. Very nice. Moving on now, apparently we had the start of the Australian Legacy Torch Relay at Buckingham Palace, and King Charles went to it. He attended. This marks the beginning of the London leg of the Charities Relay Race in celebration of their centennial year. Way to go. Now, not too long after that, at Windsor Castle, the king was appointed the Commissioner-in-Chief of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And so to mark that occasion, he joined to meet up with 5 of the quote-unquote Mounties that are going to be participating in the coronation. Wonderful. Next up, we are now on to Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. She had a meeting, I guess you would call it. She got together a reception with the British Bobsled and Skeletal Association, whom, of course, we know she is a patron. And this took place in Buckingham Palace. And we've seen this dress before. She wore it in September 2018, February 2019, March 2019. She gets her use out of it. Next up, the Bagshot Women's Institute had their 100th birthday. So what did they do? They had an afternoon tea, and they invited Bagshot Women's Institute member, the Duchess of Edinburgh. She apparently has a very long association, the Women's Institute does, with the royal family. And looks like everybody had a great time. And of course, Sophie was looking fabulous as usual. Just as an FYI, the Bagshot Women's Institute was founded in 1923, and it's ladies who meet monthly for companionship, and they go to outings such as history walks, and they meet for lunches. And Sophie joined the group for their 90th birthday celebration in 2013, and now she's back for the 100th. Very nice, Sophie. Next up, we have the Princess Royal, Princess Anne, who did the official opening of the MSSC National Support Center in London. And she sat in on a meeting of Cadet Voice, a forum empowering cadets to shape their experiences. Next up, Edward. The Duke of Canada Award was established in 1963. So Tuesday evening before he left, they got together and celebrated 60 years of this award. Very nice. Now, also while Edward was there, he attended the very first interfaith and interdenominational Chapel Royal, and the only one with its own title in an indigenous language. Wonderful. Moving on to William and Catherine, on their last day in Wales, they made a trip to the Aberfan, the place where the Aberfan disaster occurred in 1966. 116 children and 28 adults died in this disaster. There is now a garden on the site of the former junior school commemorating everybody who lost their lives. And that was open, that garden area was opened in 1974 by the Queen. Now, while Catherine and William were there, they met some of the survivors of the disaster. Apparently, I think it's called a coal tip, it's coal waste, came rushing down the mountain and hit the school. And that's how that happened. Everything that Catherine was wearing was a rewear, and thank you to Remoulade sauce. That dress, by the way, cost her like 60 pounds when she bought it originally. Now, while she was walking through the crowd, somebody remarked on her ring, and she pointed out that yes, it was Diana's ring. And interestingly enough, she and Diana had the same size ring finger, so the ring didn't have to be sized to fit her. She also pointed out in the conversation she never met Diana, but she knows that Diana would have been a fabulous grandmother. Now, of course, she met some of the children, you know how she is. Well, this one little boy took to liking Catherine's purse, so Catherine just handed it over. And when the little boy didn't want to give it back, she just left it and kept walking. What does that tell you? Look at this poor woman trying to get that purse away from her son. Like the kid didn't want to let it go. I do believe she eventually got it away from her. All right, moving on. All right, here we go. Meghan Markle's family, I guess, has had enough. And they are releasing what they call secret tapes. They're not secret. They're just never before seen in public home movies. But they're handing over home truths and secret tapes in a documentary of dirty laundry that's going to be aired the night before the coronation. Now, they're saying this is the family's last ever interview. And, I get they have something to say. I just don't think it should be done the night before the coronation. Now, in some of the trailer teasers, it's really sad. First, Thomas Markle says, we're not going to go away. This is going to change. You can't just erase us. And Meghan's sister Samantha says, and I'm quoting, she would still be a waitress if it wasn't for Dad. And then Samantha says when it comes to the wedding that the two of them are unhealthy for each other and it's a toxic relationship, which I happen to agree. He's a jerk, as it turns out. She's not very nice. He's easily pliable, and she saw that and latched on. There you go. Now, what's really sad is that in this documentary, Meghan's father says, how can I fix this? The problem is he can't fix it. She is the one who has sloughed him off like he doesn't matter. There's nothing he can do to get her to come back. They're not, the two of them talk about compassion and action. This man had a serious stroke and he is going to pass away without ever meeting his grandchildren. And as I said before, that is unrecoverable. And it still bothers me that in the Netflix documentary, Harry goes, Meghan would still have a father if it wasn't for me. She has a father. He's still very much alive. She's just choosing not to speak to him. There's a big difference there. So am I going to watch this documentary? Yep, sure the heck am. So this isn't over. They're not going quietly. And I have a feeling that if Harry is to watch this show, he's going to find out that Meghan lied to him about some stuff in the past. That's just my personal feeling. I just wish the timing was different, that's all. All right, moving on. Now, just to let you know how people are feeling about Harry, he's being mocked on Channel 4. They're doing a spoof, and they're going to be dramatizing the fight between Harry and William. Yep. All right, moving on. I just wanted to touch on this headline. Their support across the pond is at an all-time low, and they hardly, it's being reported, have many American allies left. I have no problem believing that. Moving on. All right, this article really caught my attention. Apparently, the entire reason that Harry and Meghan decided to do Megxit was when the photograph that the late Queen put up showing Charles, William, and George in the throne room at the palace was released. Now, this picture shows the line of succession, okay? But apparently, Meghan has Harry believing that the entire firm was conspiring against them. And then when that picture was released at the beginning of 2020, yeah, that was it. Meghan's like, According to the article, look at this, Harry. You see that? They don't need us. They don't want us here. They did that intentionally. Yep. Moving on, what did I tell you guys? Gayle King, Oprah's friend, is another Omid Scobie. She's Harry and Meghan's mouthpiece. So she goes on TV and says, I think Harry and Meghan should do what's best for them. They know what's going on. They know what's going on over there. They're in a good place. You've seen the two of them together. What they have is true blue. And it's good to see the happiness that they give each other. What does that tell you? PR. That's all it is. Moving on. All right, the next bit of news that came out is that Meghan has signed with a new talent agency called WME. Now, apparently, they're going to be taking care of the Spotify podcast, archetypes. They're going to be taking care of all the Archewell content. They're going to be doing all of that, which I find interesting. Now, I agree with this Twitter user. I think this proves everything that has always been said. Meghan was never going to dedicate her life to public duty or charity work. She married Harry to get a leg up, and now she wants to go back to Hollywood and become the big star that she never could on her own. According to Taz, said the same thing. This is not about being charitable. Archewell is not a charity. It's about Meghan becoming the star that she's always wanted to be. Now, this is very interesting. This place also takes care of The Rock and Serena Williams, but there's a darker side to this agency, okay? All is not well in Hollywood. So you have all these people, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't think they vet their people. Remember, they had some drivers, security people that it turned out were responsible for beating up their wives? Well, this Twitter user pointed out that the CEO of that agency was sued for racism and homophobia and settled for $2.25 million. And I was like, what? Wait, I have to research this. Guess what I found? Well, apparently in April of 2002, there was a lawsuit filed against the agency and other employees against Emmanuel, who works there. He is alleged to have allowed a friend to operate a pornographic website out of their offices. The guy made racist and anti-gay remarks and wouldn't allow scripts to go out. Like, she had a script she wanted to send to Wesley Snipes, and the guy goes, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard because everybody knows that black people don't swim. I mean, I guess she doesn't care. So I agree with this Twitter user. Archewell is now a content creation company, not a charity. And this person is asking if they lost their tax-free status. That's a very good question. And according to Taz, was absolutely right as well. It's a smokescreen because they've gone from an impact-driven global nonprofit that puts compassion into action into just content creation. Yep. So the articles are coming out that she's relaunching her new Hollywood career. It's the exact same thing. She's reopening the TIG. But have you noticed that Harry seems to be nowhere in the mix here? Now, I agree with this Twitter user. She's spending all of her time in Los Angeles. She's having private meetings with Gordon Getty. She's going places. She's living in LA. Yup. So, I mean, Harry is getting cut out and he's too thick to even see what's going on. You guys, you know what I'm saying? It's all about her. New face, new rep, her blog, and Harry's just out. Yep. Moving on, I'm just going to touch on this again. We know about Harry's lawsuit. Well, apparently he's got emails that show that he warned the palace that his family will be a laughingstock over the hacking allegations, and it's correspondence that he released. Now, that still doesn't prove there's any kind of a secret agreement, but he said that something about, if we don't do something about this before the wedding and before the baby is born. Now, of course, everybody's going, ooh, that means Meghan was pregnant. That doesn't mean Meghan was pregnant. That means that Catherine was pregnant. I mean, and he's saying this should be resolved before the wedding, or else they shouldn't be there on the 19th. Why is the Queen allowing this? It still does not show that there was a private agreement. The articles are coming out saying that this is all being resurrected for his own profit, but what it's doing is it's making him a figure of fun and ridicule. But for some reason, Harry doesn't see that. I don't understand why he's missing it. And in the meantime, people are saying that Harry is doing this. He's attacking like a kamikaze pilot because he doesn't want the monarchy to survive. The whole problem is William is the heir and he's the spare. And that's the problem. If he'd been born first, there would have been nothing. But he just cannot stand that he's not top dog. And you know who put that in his head? I mean, it was already in his head, but you know who made it worse? I mean, that's really what this is all about. Harry's so jealous, he can't stand it. Now, Meghan was given a major olive branch from Charles in a show of gracelessness. Absolutely. She went on TV. She lied about the family. Now she's backtracked on her lies. And even with all of the hate that she has thrown at Charles, at Camilla, at William, at Catherine, he still invited her to the coronation, but she can't see the forest for the trees. You know what I mean? Now, to end this, I have to say I agree with this came from Diane on Twitter because, and this is true for Harry, think on this. Your mother may applaud your quest for a different life, but she would not like that you merged her, attacked your family, you let your wife dominate, you let your rabid fan base insult, smear, and threaten your brother, his wife, and his children. And in doing so, you really insult her memory. Shame on you. All right, you guys, you know what I want. Leave those comments and make them good because I'm reading them. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of uploads. If you've already hit that button, double check and make sure you're still subscribed. Don't forget to go into the description box and get the links to my Twitter, my Getter, my Rumble, my email. There's a physical address in case there's something you want to send to me. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.